The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing Icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomas Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business. From $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Luis from the company Icons of Real Estate podcast. I'm your host, and today we have a very special guest. She has a lot of experience into the real estate market in Hawaii, Cindy Rasmussen, who has sold around 39 transactions, and she's with Century 21, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about her story and who she is. Hello, Cindy. How are you today?
Hey, Luis. How are you? I'm good, thanks.
That is great. Could you start telling us a little bit about your story, Cindy?
Well, gosh, I've been around since I was licensed in 1992, so I have been around quite a while in Hawaii. I currently live and work and play in the same area. That's the Makiki Manoa area. Oddly enough, Manoa is where I started my real estate career with our realty, actually, a long time ago. Both of my brokers have passed on. The company has been retired, but I'm still here. I now hang my license with a franchise, Century 21 Home Finders of Hawaii. And our office, actually, we have two offices. We have a branch here with the main office in Waipio. And then we also have another office on the Big Island in Hilo. So we have a little bit of a reach, which is good for me because my roots lie on the Big Island. Most of my family is there now. So I grew up here mostly in Kalihi and Kailua. I guess my most productive years I was in Kailua. I specialize in a few areas. Besides the place, Makiki Manoa, where I live, work, and play, I also specialize in the areas that I'm very familiar with, which are Kailua and Hawaii Kai. I visit Hawaii Kai on a regular basis, mostly because my mom lives there. I have to go back and forth on a regular basis.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is great. And how do you stay updated with the current trends and changes into the real estate market there?
Well, besides all the tattletale tools that we have as realtors, as a member of the Honolulu Board of Realtors, which is affiliated with the Hawaii Association of Realtors and the National Association of Realtors. Yeah, I'm tied into the MLS, which gives me up-to-date information all the time. And I think we're updated like every 15 minutes, if I understand correctly.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so we have a really hardworking IT team that keeps us on top of everything that comes in. All the agents feed in there. But as you know, the Honolulu Board of Realtors is a membership-driven organization. So within the MLS, the only thing I see there is stuff that's put in from, number one, the MLS realtor, the agents themselves. And then there are some folks who have now, over the years, independent agents who've now figured out how to tie with the agents there. And so we get information from within the membership as well as outside. And then I keep on top of everything else outside. Again, I have a couple of title sites that keep me posted on the non-MLS material. But I think my most effective method is talking to people. I mean, I visit places here in my neighborhood, and then I go back and forth like to Kailua and Hawaii Kai regularly. Yeah, I talk to everybody and find out what's going on because, as you know, the worst information for me as a listing agent, the worst information is the stuff that's already on there because that means somebody else touched it first.
Yeah, exactly. So, you're a lovely person and you're talking to people like. Actually, that is leading us to the next question. How do you customize your approach when working with clients?
Well, I feel fortunate that experience has helped me to find the type of people that are comfortable to work with me. I find that many of my current and past clients fall within my same age bracket. And now, I mean, nowadays that makes me senior citizen. So many of my clients of the same age group, and a lot of them don't like computers. Some of them don't own computers. They can access on a limited capacity if they have some apps on their mobile phone. So unfortunately for me, I still have ink and paper clients. So I still carry contracts and I do the good old fashioned old school way. I explain everything on paper and then have them sign in ink. And then there's no sense in me scanning them and sending them the copies by email because that's not going to work. Not a lot of them have email also. So that's one facet of my clientele. And then, of course, I have the other folks who are savvy on the computer. So I have a good number, let's see, about maybe 6 or 8 years ago, I actually decided to look into, how you do your end of the year recaps.
Yeah.
And when I did my evaluation, it occurred to me at that time that 60% of my business came from outside of Hawaii.
Wow.
So yeah, go figure. So quite a few folks found me and I always ask, hey, so how'd you find me? And a lot of them say, oh, I looked online. Okay, can you be more specific? Like where'd you go online? How'd you find me? Because I want to know, right? I mean, so I can,
So are these people that are trying to buy in Hawaii from other areas or?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
pretty
So
interesting.
I've sold to folks who come from out of town and yeah, they're looking for a place. They're either retiring, relocating somehow. So at that time, 60% of my business was coming in from someplace else, which made them buyers. Since then, I've fine tuned my business because I prefer to work with sellers. So I haven't gotten a lot of folks from outside looking to sell properties, obviously. So what I've done most recently, I've learned to refer the business out because if I have a buyer, I strike up a rapport, I develop a relationship with them. I like to introduce them to an agent that,
Okay.
that I have a good relationship with, that I trust, and, I'll exchange that way. So for my buyers, I do quite a bit of referral. Then there are those buyers that, I'm laughing as I describe it. They're either related by blood or some other extension, and they just will not go anywhere else. So I still have a small subset of buyers that I work with personally. But for the most part, a buyer will come in and I will help guide them to the agent that might be a good fit for them. And
Okay.
again, that goes back to, over the years, I kind of develop a feel for like, how they like business. Some clients prefer minimal connection. They want to they don't have time. Can we see each other on Zoom when we absolutely have to? And then everything else is electronic signature and email. And then on a more immediate note, they text. I mean, that's one extreme of my business. On the other side, I have my good old ink and paper guys.
That is great, but you also, well, you domain both ways. So that is amazing because, my generation, we don't know the old style. So you know both styles. That's amazing. And that's actually leading us to the next question. What advice would you give to a first home buyer in Hawaii?
The first home buyer, again, because I have experience with the folks who are from out of town and from in town, typically I'll ask them, hey, what do you know about the neighborhoods? Can you tell me what kind of place do you like to live? What's important in your neighborhood? What's important to you? And I think that's been essential in placing folks in the right community for them for two reasons. They might like it. And then the ultimate reason, which is becoming a bigger reality nowadays, especially for buyers moving into the next phase of all the new things that happen, but their buying power. Are they able to afford the place that they imagine? And so we may not get the ideal fit right off. And then in the process, they'll learn more about their neighborhood and then overlay that with their affordability. And, again, experience, I think, helps with that because I'm able to find a neighborhood for them that fits their profile as well as their budget.
Okay, so you're studying them, and what strategies are you employing to negotiate effectively with them?
Well, again, learning what kind of people I'm dealing with, what kind of personalities. Some people, believe it or not, some people really like a realtor who's going to say, you know what, this is what I'm looking for. You're the expert. You tell me. And I find that to be the case more often. I think for the client base that I have, it's a safety factor. They maybe how did they find me? They like the picture, then they like whatever they read, and then they'll call me. So the initial conversation they have with me, they feel comfortable because I really am not an aggressive, terribly intrusive person. So in the business, you would call me classic soft sell. I want to know
Okay,
what you want, right? And then I'm going to help you get where you want to be. And, let's make it comfortable for both of us. So I think that's my MO, really. But what I've learned over the years, even if people give me that impression, they really do come to a realtor for the expertise. They want me to give them the direction. They say they want to be in charge and they want to have total control. But ultimately, they're going to say, okay, well, what do you think? Can you help me a little bit more? So I think
exactly.
for new agents, I would say, it's good to ask your clients where they want to go. But I think ultimately we have the responsibility of helping them get to where they want to go, and nobody wants to get into a car where the backseat driver is the one who's telling you where to go, right? I mean, they
Exactly.
want you to know where you're going to go and take them there. Along the way, they want to be able to look around, get the scenery, ask questions, and get you to answer them. But ultimately, they're looking for someone who's going to take them where they want to go.
Yeah, that analogy is great, actually. Well, I can see you have a lot of experience. This is great because a part of our audience is people who are trying to get into the business, but we also have agents who are trying to expand their network and they need to listen from people like you because you have a lot of experience and that's pretty amazing. So,
If I could
go ahead.
offer a new agent one one piece of advice that I still work on every day, no matter who you talk to, make sure at the end of your conversation that you say, hey, by the way, we've been talking a lot. Do you know anybody who'll be moving soon? Or do you know anybody who's going to be experiencing some changes in life? You know, get the
Oh,
information. But you got to ask the question because you don't want to just keep having conversations. You want to make contacts because that's how we build our database. We get new contacts into our database and then you work those contacts. Hopefully, a lot of those people will become part of your sphere of influence and dig deeper into the relationship as you go.
okay, that's a great advice, actually. And what are the current challenges facing the real estate market in Hawaii?
Well, the biggest buzz, I think, is lying in the media with the NAR's settlement that came
Mhm.
down. So a lot of folks don't understand what's going on. They hear a lot of the information, but because they don't know things, I mean, the basic fundamentals of real estate, like commissions,
Okay.
I think it's creating a lot of stir out there folks don't understand. So, in my experience, and I'll just use one example. I have clients that I closed for last year. And these were people that I've known like more than 30 years. So naturally, when they want something, they'll call me and they'll say, hey, we want to buy a place. We want to buy a second home. Can you help us? Sure. We go through the process. You know, we weren't even a month into the transaction. They never once asked me about getting paid. Now, remember, I'm representing them as buyers. So my knowledge tells me that they don't have to ask me questions about how I get paid, right? But the truth was, because we were close enough, they said, is it okay? I mean, whatever it is you get paid, we're going to pay it. But can you tell me how we're going to pay for you? Boy, that opened a lot of questions in my mind in general. With buyers, I never did go over how I get paid because it never came up. It wasn't important. I was
Okay.
trying to extract the information that I needed to do my job as an agent. But the understanding of the buyers is poor. I mean, the sellers, hey, because they're going to pay. I explained the whole thing, right? But with the buyers, they don't really understand in the past. they haven't understood how buyers agents get paid. So I think that's part of the issue that we're all going to have to deal with moving forward. The good news is that for the buyers, now agents will get better at explaining how we get paid because we
Okay.
never had to before. But now that the settlement says that the buyer is going to pay for the buyer's agent and that you will be signing buyer agreements, things like that were foreign to most everybody before.
Exactly. And this is telling me that you are a very solid person and you are actually creating solid connections with your customers. Because if you are willing to explain them how you're getting paid, this is creating even a better connection with them, don't you think?
Oh, I think so, most definitely. But as I say, what a wake up call for me because prior to that, this is just last year. Prior to that, it never occurred to me that a buyer doesn't know how we're going to make our money in the transaction. But I'm really thankful that I got to understand where the buyers are coming from way before I needed to, because it is now a habit of mine to have a buyer's agreement in place, which is part of the settlement anyway, right? I mean,
Okay.
yeah, we have to have a buyer's agreement in place before we before we take them out to show properties for sure.
Of course, of
So
course.
it's wise that you do it. In my experience, I never ever felt the need in the past. I've never felt the need to have a buyer sign a contract with me. And I think there were a few reasons when I look back and I analyze it a little bit better. Maybe some of it was my cowardice. Why would I want them to sign a buyer's agreement? Would I be scaring them? And it's a cultural thing because here in Hawaii, there are some things out of respect for the next guy that you shake somebody's hand and that means a lot. But
Yeah.
if now I shake your hand and then I say, can you sign here for me? Then I start, going down another path. It's like, is this the person I really want to work with? Or why do I have to sign a contract? I thought you said you're going to be honest. So there's that whole obstacle to overcome that we never had to before. But I think honestly, for everybody involved, I think it's an opportunity because buyers can now, from the start, the agents will have the ability because now that we're learning how to do it, right? The agents have the ability to describe the process starting with fundamentals and it gives the buyer, the foundation that they need before they go any farther in the transaction.
Okay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you bring a lot of peace. You're bringing me peace right now. So I think your clients
I'm
are
glad.
feeling, yeah, your clients are feeling really comfortable with you working.
Yeah. So I think for all agents, knowing that we're going to have to be signing buyer agreements with everybody, my opportunity, that what I feel is an opportunity is I want to make them comfortable with the contract from the very start so that it's not something that they're afraid of, but it lets them know, hey, these are the things that I'm going to do for you. And just to give you comfort, let's go over them and then you can sign, have a copy, and call me on it anytime you want to later. I mean, I don't know. I think that's prior to having a buyer's agreement, it's part of my franchise agreement that I have my buyers sign a buyer's pledge. So I'm looking at it in a similar fashion. The other one was a pledge. I pledge my life of my experience and my integrity. I put it on the line and I'm letting you know that this is what I'm giving you. But I think now it's a two-way street where the buyer can see what they're getting out of it and really ask questions and understand because of course the buyer's agreement, it's a legal document and it breaks things down in a more finite fashion, which is again an opportunity for us as agents because if we never cared to delve as deeply into that in the past, hey, now we've got the tool that spells it all out from the front.
And in your opinion, what qualities should a client look for when selecting a real estate agent?
I'm speaking from my own feelings. I need to be sure that I'm comfortable with you. It's like going to a doctor. I mean, you're going to ask me to stand in front of you, take off my clothes. How comfortable am I? That's the analogy that goes through my head. It's like,
Yeah.
I need to feel comfortable, secure, and safe with you before I take the next step. So that's just my own personal feeling. And I'm thinking that many buyers or many clients are going to need to feel that same sort of security when they work with their agent.
Okay.
So from the start, I tried to give people, hey, I'm not here to take anything from you. I'm here to offer you all the services that I can. this is what I'm capable of, but like, how do you feel as I'm talking to you? So I'm always trying to get that feeling from my clients.
That is amazing. That is amazing. I know you already gave a piece of advice, but what other advice would you give to your audience?
To an audience of agents, listen, 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 listen. Ask questions as you don't understand. Repeat steps that you do understand, and you want to make sure that are clear points that we need to mark as important. For the people who are looking for agents, same thing. Listen, listen, listen. Very important to ask questions, because if you're ever feeling insecure, unsafe, hey, that's something that I don't understand. Ask questions at any point as a client. At any point, I encourage a question, because it's helpful, whether the client believes it or not. It's helpful to me as an agent to know where my client is coming from, because by their questions, I can hear where they're coming from. They might not show me, they might not tell me, but if they ask me a question, I can know a lot more.
Oh, okay. This is
So for
amazing.
both sides, I say listen, 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 ask questions. It's valuable for anybody.
Create a solid connection. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Well, actually, it is great to have you here, Cindy. Actually, you have a lot of experience and you know how to do sales properly. People are feeling comfortable with you because I can feel that, you know? So, do you have anything else that you would like to share to your audience or something you would like to add before we leave?
You know, I love doing what I do. Well, number one, the nosy side of the curious, inquisitive side. I get to go into properties and see. I would never get to enter if I wasn't an agent, right?
Yeah.
I can just drive by on the street. So I love what I do because I can see properties that I wouldn't have the opportunity to see otherwise. I get to meet people who are interested in either acquiring or building a real estate portfolio, or just planning their estate out. The other thing is, on the rewarding side, I think that I never used to do it. I never used to bring it up because it sounds like such a morbid topic. But you know that there are a lot of folks, and I've learned this through my clients. By the time I get them, because I specialize in listing, they'll come to me and they'll say, "Okay, my spouse died. Here's what I've got." They've gone to the attorney. They've gone to that. Well, there's a big cost that gets paid out through the process of probate, and there's a big cost that gets paid out through the process that it goes to the attorney. So I'm learning and appreciating more and more. There is a big part of knowing how not to spend all that money, how not
Okay.
to go through the probate process. So I'm learning that's a value that I can offer to folks. But again, I started to say, I love what I do, and I can remember all the fun things about real estate, when I first started out and when I compared to now. So yeah, I think for the most part, as an agent, just have fun doing what you do.
Perfect. Perfect. This is really amazing. This is really valuable because, having people like you, it's amazing as we are having real experienced people giving testimonials and giving advice and giving feedback. Well, Cindy, it was amazing to have you here. Do you have anything else you would like to share? Or
No, Luis, I like the way that you listen. You listen very well.
yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I listen to you because you're amazing, actually.
Thank you for saying so. Yeah, I've enjoyed this. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Cindy. Take care, and it was a pleasure.